Hey guys, this week in Art Club with Miss Burford, we'll be celebrating the coronation by creating this King Charles stamp bunting. You will need 4 postage stamp outlines on A4 paper per child, a silhouette of King Charles, 2 pieces of A5 blue paper and 2 pieces of A5 red paper, some foam, a pair of scissors, a pen, some white paint, a paintbrush, some ribbon, a roller, and a stapler. There is some prep for this week's art project, but it's only simple. It's printing out 4 lots of postage stamp outlines per child, so these are to almost fill an A4 sheet, and to also print an outline of King Charles' head, which is just smaller than an A5 sheet of paper. Now, to start the lesson, we are going to cut these postage stamp outlines out. This can take a while. This took me half an hour to do, so I suggest putting on a video or some music in the background to keep the children happy. However, my suggestion after actually doing this lesson with the children would be to just do a rectangular outline and use those scissors that give you the wibbly wobbly edge. You know, the ones that I mean that create like a crimp style. Those are much easier to use and it takes less time. However, if you don't have access to those style of scissors, then sorry, you're going to have to go along with this outline idea, or you could just do straight edges if you like, but then it won't give you that authentic postage stamp look. But it took me 30 minutes to do at home, it took the children longer, so allow about 30 to 45 minutes for this stage. The next step is to cut out King Charles' head, and you may want to cut a crown out as well. Please encourage the children to take their time whilst cutting around King Charles' face, because you want to try and get as much detail as possible. I also decided to cut out the crown because I wanted to make 2 different stamps on my different coloured paper. Using a pen or pencil, draw around the profile of King Charles's head and try and do it in the corner of your sheet of foam so that you can reuse the rest of the foam at a later date for another project. And cut this out ready to use as your stamp. Now, using the King's foam head, paint this with the white paint all over the one side. However, before you do paint the side, just think about which direction his face is going to be looking. So on the stamp, the Queen looks towards the left, so that's the same with the King. So whilst you're painting it and you have it laid down in front of you, his nose is going to be facing towards the right, so that when it's printed, it's inversed and it will be facing to the left. Carefully flip your stamp over so your paint is facing towards either the red or the blue sheet, whichever you decide to print on first, and just gently place it in the middle of the sheet of paper so it's portrait way up, and just rub over it gently or use the roller. That's the word I'm looking for, the roller. Then peel it away gently using one of the corners, and you'll see how well your stamp worked. My first one didn't come out that brilliant, so I learnt from this that on my next few layers I needed to put a thicker, more even spread of white paint over it. Now I also added a crown on this one. It's up to you if you want to add a crown or not. I decided that on my red sheets of paper I was going to add a crown, and on my blue sheets I was just going to leave it as the King's head. Because what I understand is that a king doesn't wear a crown on stamps, however the Queen does. Please correct me if I'm wrong, this is just what I've been told. I haven't actually looked this up to see if it's a fact. Repeat a stamp of the head on all 4 pieces of paper, making sure that they're all portrait way round, and then you can leave these to dry. It would probably make more sense now to do the cutting out of the stamp outlines at this point whilst the paint is drying. However, I've only learnt this now. When the paint has dried, you can then lay out your 4 sheets of paper from earlier with your pretty stamp outline, and you can then glue each head print onto the centre of your stamps so it looks like a proper stamp. You should have a little border around each piece of paper, so you should have your red or your blue sheets in the middle of the white sheet of paper and have about a centimetre border of white all the way around. Just glue these in the centre with a Pritt stick. They are starting to look like proper postage stamps at this point, and you can really see where I said that my first stamp was not as good as my others. You can see that my first stamp was the one on the left. But I learnt from my mistake. I learnt that I didn't have enough paint all over the head stamp, so I had to improve that on the next one and make sure I had an even layer. And as you can see, it worked. Anyway, lay your ribbon across the top of your 4 stamp pictures, and ideally you need your stamps to go red, blue, or blue, red, as long as they're alternate colours. And just space them out how you want them to be spaced along your ribbon, and when you're happy with where they are, just put 2 staples in the top of each of your pictures, connecting them to your ribbon. So you'll want your ribbon to sit behind, ideally, behind your picture. And that is how we make some coronation decor. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more art lessons like this every week and other art content every now and then. See you next week for more Art Club with Miss Burford.